The day after the new year, my family of 3 visited Grandma's house for a gathering. I had just settled into my seat when I received a text from my cousin, Leslie Bolton. "Allison, I just sent my proposal to your email. Please review it, I'm begging you. Whether I keep my job or not depends entirely on this." Leslie worked at a design agency. Her company was struggling financially and planned to lay off employees. The company used the collaboration with us to make the staff compete. Whoever's proposal was selected would stay. A day before New Year's Eve, her colleagues had already submitted their proposals, but Leslie hadn't finished hers. Determined to outshine everyone with a perfect design, she had worked non-stop for over a month, surviving on just 2 hours of sleep per night. However, one of my business partners had already found a proposal he liked and saw no need for further discussion. It was only after my repeated pleas that he reluctantly agreed to give Leslie a chance. Still, he made it clear that meeting deadlines was also a test of competence. To be fair to the other entries, the proposal had to be submitted by 8 p.m. sharp. There were no exceptions. I had reminded Leslie multiple times to send her proposal in as soon as possible, yet after waiting the entire day, she had only just sent it. It was already 7:45 p.m. In our work group chat, my 2 other partners were growing impatient. One of them even grumbled that if it weren't for me, they wouldn't have wasted their holidays working overtime. I quickly forwarded Leslie's proposal to the group. At the very least, I had done my part for her. Just as I thought everything was finally under control, a red exclamation mark popped up on my screen. There was no internet connection. The file had failed to send. I looked up and saw Aunt Mary's 10-year-old son, Ben, holding the unplugged internet cable, making faces at me. Suppressing my frustration, I said to him, "Stop messing around, Ben, plug it back in." Just then, Aunt Mary's voice rang out, sharp and indignant. "Why are you yelling at a child, Allison?" The entire family turned to stare at me. I was baffled and laughed helplessly. "I wasn't yelling, I just asked him to reconnect the cable," I explained. Aunt Mary dusted off the nutshells from her palm and eyed me with disdain. "Working overtime during the holiday, just how busy are you? Even your uncle, who runs a whole supermarket, isn't this busy. Who are you trying to impress?" I checked the time. Only 12 minutes left. I couldn't afford to argue, so I decided to send the file from my phone instead. But before I could, Aunt Mary snatched my phone away. "I'm talking to you, and you're staring at your phone? I can't stand you young people. It's the new year, and instead of talking to family, you pretend to be busy on your phone just to avoid us. So pretentious. Do you really think you're some big shot? You're just another underpaid office drone making $3,000 a month." Then Aunt Mary shut off my phone in front of everyone. I let out a cold laugh. "This concerns Leslie's future, Aunt Mary." She burst into laughter. "Leslie is a top designer. What does her future have to do with a grunt worker like you? You never tell the family what you do. And let's be honest, isn't it because your salary is embarrassingly low? You're too ashamed to talk about it, aren't you? The truth is, we all know. You're just a regular office drone making $3,000 a month. Stop pretending to be busy. It only makes you look ridiculous." Sensing my anger, my mom quickly stepped in to mediate. "Don't say that, Mary. Allison wouldn't be working on a holiday if it weren't urgent. Please return her phone. And Ben, plug the internet cable back in. Everyone's waiting to use it." She spoke gently, but that one sentence sent Ben into a meltdown. He jabbed a finger at my mom and me, stomped his feet, and burst into loud, wailing sobs. Distressed, Aunt Mary turned on my mom, scolding her for bullying a child. Seeing Ben cry, Grandma grabbed a pair of scissors and marched toward the router, ready to cut the internet cable. The room descended into chaos. I checked the time. 8 minutes left. "Leslie, your job might just be ruined by your mother and brother." Speaking of pretending, no one in our family could put on a better act than Leslie. She graduated from a vocational college but told the family she had a university degree. She worked as a designer at a small firm, but claimed she was working at a top 100 company, earning $400,000 a year. One lie always needed countless more to cover it up. Blinded by pride, she took out a $150,000 loan, despite making only $4,500 a month, just to give the money to her mother as a supposed year-end bonus. For over a month, Aunt Mary flaunted it in the family group chat, constantly comparing us, praising Leslie while belittling me. And every time Aunt Mary bragged about her, Leslie would send out monetary tokens in the chat to maintain the illusion of wealth. She was suffering just to keep up appearances. But I sympathized with her. Aunt Mary was very vain and materialistic. She always treated her son better than her daughter. So Leslie had been forced into this charade. Back when Leslie was still honest, life had been unbearable for her. One moment remained especially vivid in my memory. In 5th grade, Leslie scored a 69 on her final exam. That same year, I scored a 99. The second Aunt Mary saw her test paper, she didn't say a word and slapped Leslie twice across the face. Stunned, humiliated, and too afraid to cry, Leslie just stood there, dazed. But that wasn't the worst of it. Aunt Mary yanked her by the ear and kicked her relentlessly. She forced Leslie to sit out in the snow, clutching that failed exam paper, and refused to give her food. Whenever someone passed by, Aunt Mary would humiliate Leslie by telling them that her daughter was worthless and incapable of doing well in her exams. Leslie had once been an outgoing child, but after years of beatings and verbal abuse, she became withdrawn and sullen. From that moment on, she learned to alter her grades, bringing home only perfect scores. With her limited education, Aunt Mary was easy to fool. The sight of a flawless report card softened her attitude. She even bought gifts and showered Leslie with exaggerated praise in front of others. Leslie became trapped in her mother's delusions, convincing herself that she was a genius. Day after day, year after year, Leslie built a fragile world of self-deception, one so precarious that reality itself became unbearable. And when she stood before me, the one person who knew the truth, she begged me not to expose her lies. "If you ever tell anyone," she whispered, "I'll end my life." Leslie said that as long as she secured the deal with my company, she could gradually repay the $150,000 loan. Her boss had promised that after the layoffs, all resources would go to the one employee who remained to groom them for success. If she made it through, earning $20,000 a month wouldn't be difficult. Step by step, she could turn her fabricated persona into reality. But first, she had to survive the cull. I had wanted to help her, but I hadn't foreseen this chaos. Only 5 minutes remained. I strode forward, snatched the scissors from Grandma's hands, and yanked the network cable from Ben's grip. "Just 5 minutes! After that, I'm done!" I said firmly. Ben wailed even louder as he pointed at me and screamed, "You worthless loser making only $3,000 a month! How dare you take my stuff! I'll beat you to death!" Aunt Mary let go of him and watched as he threw a flurry of punches at me. My dad stepped in to restrain him, but before he could say a word, Aunt Mary lashed out at him. "What do you think you're doing? He's just a child. His punches don't even hurt. It's nothing more than play fighting." Grandma smacked my arm and then turned to Ben. "Bad Allison! Grandma hit her, see? Don't cry, don't cry." As she spoke, she struck my back twice more. Although the blows didn't hurt much, my parents' faces darkened. But wielding her age like a shield, Grandma snapped at my mom. "What's that look for? Are you planning to hit your own mother, Jen? Allison is old enough, so what's the big deal about a couple of slaps? My precious grandson is crying his eyes out. How are you going to make up for that?" Aunt Mary smirked triumphantly at my parents. They weren't ones to stir up trouble, so for the sake of keeping the peace, they let it go. I plugged in the network cable, ignoring the chaos behind me. There was no time to argue. I had to send the email immediately, but my business partners had already lost their patience. One of them was furiously tagging me in our group chat, making it clear that if the proposal wasn't in by 8 o'clock, they wouldn't even bother looking at it, no matter how brilliant it was. I understood their frustration. Working overtime during the holidays was already frustrating enough. With 3 minutes left, I rushed to send the file. The network lagged a little, but it should have gone through. Then I hurried to the bathroom. By the time I returned, the clock had struck 8. I thought everything was fine. The proposal had been sent in time. Crisis averted. But when I sat down to check my business partner's response, my mind went blank. The proposal hadn't gone through. It had been recalled. Seeing nothing in the chat, my partners, now fuming, announced that they wouldn't review it at all. Panicking, I tried to resend the file only to find it gone. I looked up. There was Ben, grinning at me, his face full of mischief. I stared at him. "Did you delete the file?" He stuck out his tongue. "That's what you get for being mean to me. Just teaching you a lesson so you know who's in charge. Aunt Mary's hostile gaze pierced through me. "What's that look for? Are you planning to hit him? He's just a child. What's wrong with a kid being a little playful? You're an adult and you're holding a grudge against him? How pathetic can you be?" She scoffed and added coldly, "It's just a file. So what if it got deleted? What kind of valuable documents could someone with your measly salary even have? Worst case, you get fired. That'd actually be a blessing. You can finally come home, find a husband, and give your parents some peace of mind." I shut my eyes briefly, forcing down the anger. Turning back to the computer, I quickly messaged Leslie, urging her to resend the file immediately. Maybe, just maybe, there was still a chance to fix this. Leslie had not checked her phone and didn't reply right away. I panicked and reached out to Aunt Mary, asking for my phone so I could call Leslie. Holding my phone just out of reach, Aunt Mary walked up to me, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "So, do you admit you were wrong? If you apologize properly, to me and Ben, I'll give it back." "He was the one who messed up. Why should I apologize? Being young doesn't give him a free pass," I blurted out. She let out a mocking laugh, her eyes widening like saucers. "You sure have a big temper for someone with so little. A useless girl earning a measly sum a month. What right do you have to raise your voice at me? My daughter makes so much more as a top designer." Then, as if on cue, she turned her attack on my mom. "Honestly, I never expected you to be such a failure. Raising a daughter who's both incompetent and rude, what a disgrace." My mom's face darkened with anger. "Say whatever you want about me, but don't insult Allison. She did nothing wrong. You'd do well to watch your mouth." Aunt Mary sneered. "Why should I? It's just the truth. Your family is pathetic, isn't it? Am I wrong? You couldn't even give birth to a son to continue your legacy. And the daughter you raised? She can't even make real money. She hasn't got the talent. Tell me, which part am I wrong about?" She crossed her arms, looking smug. "Unlike you, I raised a daughter who's a high-earning designer, and I have a son to carry on the family name. My future is set." "Enough!" My dad's voice thundered as he finally lost his temper. At that moment, Aunt Stella and her husband, Peter Fry, who had been silent the whole time, got up and tried to smooth things over. They held my dad back. "It's the new year, let's not fight," Aunt Stella pleaded. "Kids make trouble, it's nothing serious, and you all know how Mary is, she's just blunt, don't take it to heart." Here we go again. Every time Aunt Mary humiliated my parents, Aunt Stella always took her side, leaving us to silently swallow our grievances. Just then, a realization hit me. I had been an accomplice in letting my parents suffer. With that thought, my urgency vanished. I shrugged, spreading my hands. "If you like the phone so much, keep it. I'm done with this." Then I shut down my laptop. It was a new year. Why wasn't I just enjoying my time, playing cards and eating a hearty meal? Why was I bending over backward for something that only brought me frustration and humiliation? Aunt Mary hadn't expected my reaction. It was like throwing a punch into the wind. No resistance, just an empty, unsatisfying impact. She tilted her head back and yelled, "You think I actually care about your lousy phone? Leslie has money. If I want a phone, I can buy one anytime. I only took yours to help your parents teach you some basic manners." Then, as if proving a point, she pulled out her phone and flashed the screen at me. "Look at this. Leslie's year-end bonus to me, $150,000. And you? How much do you have? A few thousand at best." Smirking, she turned my phone back on. Let's see how much you have in your bank balance. I bet it's not even $300. The phone lit up, and the first thing that popped up was a message from Leslie. Allison, what's going on? My boss just announced the final decision in the group chat, and my proposal wasn't even considered. Aunt Mary glanced at the message and then looked at me. What are you talking about with Leslie? What proposal? What does her job have to do with you? Before I could respond, Leslie's video call came through in a panic. Aunt Mary answered it immediately. Leslie's sobs filled the room. I spent a whole month working on that proposal. I was so confident about it. How could they finalize someone else's without even reviewing mine? My boss just posted the layoff list in the group chat. What am I supposed to do now? Aunt Mary's face turned ashen. She leaned closer to the phone and pressed her question. What do you mean, Leslie? You got laid off? Leslie gasped and quickly ended the call. Aunt Mary tried to call her back using my phone, but she didn't pick up. The entire family tensed. Aunt Stella spoke in a slow, deliberate voice. Didn't you say Leslie was a key employee at her company, Mary? How does someone like that end up on the layoff list? Aunt Mary's face flickered between pale and livid as she turned sharply to me. Explain. What is going on? She demanded. I shrugged. Your family's business has nothing to do with me. Ask Leslie yourself. Aunt Mary shot me a glare before calling Leslie. This time she answered. You ungrateful girl. Why did you hang up just now? Tell me, were you laid off? Leslie's voice sounded much calmer than before. No, you misunderstood. There's no way I'd be laid off. I rolled my eyes silently. Even now, she refused to admit the truth. My company is working with Allison's firm. They value my proposal so much that they're reviewing it even during the holidays. If it weren't important, why would they be working overtime for it? This proposal is my golden ticket to a promotion. If you don't believe me, ask Allison. She's in upper management. She has a third of the decision-making power, and her word is as good as gold. The moment she spoke, the entire family's gaze shifted toward me. Aunt Mary's expression darkened instantly. Her lips trembled as she asked me, The file you sent earlier? Was it Leslie's? Leslie chuckled at Aunt Mary's question. Of course. It was my design draft. My boss said my ideas were exceptionally creative and engaging. Allison's firm was bound to love them. But I was so busy earlier I could only send it today. Luckily, Allison helped me. If I had missed today's deadline, it would have been over. Aunt Mary instantly hung up the phone. She paced back and forth in front of me, scratching her head and rubbing her face, visibly anxious. The others, piecing the situation together, murmured, So, Allison was working overtime for Leslie, and Ben personally ruined his sister's chances? They turned to me for confirmation. I nodded. The firm has its rules. This decision should have been finalized before the new year, but I pleaded with my partners to give Leslie an extension. The deadline was set. She had until 8 p.m. tonight. No exceptions. That's unacceptable, Aunt Mary shrieked in panic. I frowned. Why are you yelling at me? Ben unplugged the internet, you took my phone, and then he deleted the files. Who should you really blame here? For once, Aunt Stella spoke up on my behalf. That's right, Mary. We all saw what happened. You spoiled Ben and let him wreak havoc, and now it's ruined. Otherwise, why would someone like Allison, a senior executive, be working overtime during the New Year's holidays? Uncle Peter chuckled and turned to my parents. Allison is truly impressive. Already a leader at 28. She must be earning a fortune. Could it be around $3 million a year? For the first time, my parents received praise. They smiled faintly, saying nothing, and instead turned to me. Allison, is there any way to salvage this? Aunt Mary's arrogance vanished completely as she nodded and pleaded with me. Leslie is your cousin. You can't just stand by and watch her fall. Without answering her, I forwarded the document Leslie had just sent me directly into the partners group chat. The reply came swiftly. Don't bother. The rules were clear. We've already finalized the best proposal. This matter is closed. I shrugged. Nothing more I can do. Aunt Mary's face twisted in an instant. Aren't you a partner? Isn't it just a matter of saying the word to pick her proposal? You never wanted to help us at all. I shot her a cold look. Well, too bad you're not the boss. Your words don't count. If you've got what it takes, go start your own company and open a backdoor for Leslie yourself. She choked on her own anger, too furious to speak. Just then, my phone rang. Without giving her another glance, I stepped out to take the call. The moment I answered, Leslie's sobs filled my ears. Allison, I got laid off. What should I do? I still have $300,000 in loans to pay off. A vein throbbed in my temple. Wasn't it $150,000? How did it suddenly become $300,000? She stammered. I thought I'd definitely keep my job this time, so I took out a loan to buy a car. You know, to show everyone I'm doing well when we gather for the holidays. I was speechless. You're just putting on a show at your own expense. Is it really worth it? She sighed. It's too late now. I lost my job and I won't find another one anytime soon. You have to keep this from the family. Also, lend me $500,000. I'll use part of it to pay off my debt in one go, then repay you in installments. The rest? Well, I need some money to go home. I let out a short laugh, more out of frustration than amusement. Leslie, this isn't a joke. Her voice instantly sharpened, matching Aunt Mary's tone. Don't talk like that, Allison. You're 100% responsible for this. My boss just looked at my proposal and said if it had made it into the competition, I would have had a great chance of winning. If you'd sent it on time, would I have been fired? I replied coldly. Firstly, if your boss really valued you, he wouldn't have let you go. Saying your proposal was excellent was probably just polite talk. Secondly, everyone knew the deadline was before the new year. You were the only one who failed to submit on time. I reminded you more than once to send it before 8 p.m. tonight, and I even told you to submit it by noon just to be safe. But you? You waited until the very last minute. That's not bad luck. That's a lack of competence. Thirdly, If your mother and brother hadn't caused trouble, I could have still submitted your proposal on time, even at the last minute. Her confidence wavered. What does this have to do with my mom and Ben? I spoke plainly. Check Grandma's security footage. You have the password. She started crying again. No, really, Allison, I'm out of options. Just lend me the money first. You're a big boss now. What's $500,000 to you? I'll pay you back eventually. I sighed. What do you mean, eventually? So you weren't planning to pay me back? She muttered. That's not what I meant. I'm just desperate right now. I still haven't repaid the first $150,000. The next $150,000, well, I couldn't borrow it through official channels. I had to take a private loan, and now they're hounding me. They even showed up at my doorstep. I'm really in trouble. Just send me the money to settle it first, okay? You're the one person I've trusted most since we were kids. You wouldn't just leave me hanging, would you? That's easy to say. Your mom just showed off her bank balance. She's got $200,000 in savings. Since that money originally came from you, just ask her to cover it. And while you're at it, tell her everything. No more lying to keep up appearances. Besides, she's in the wrong this time. If there was ever a moment to come clean, it's now. She won't dare do anything to you. Leslie exploded in anger even before I could finish. Telling my mom the truth is no different from signing my own death warrant. I never thought you'd be this heartless. Aren't you my cousin? Can't you even do me this small favor? I've really misjudged you. Have you no heart? Besides, it's your fault I got laid off. As my cousin, and someone with decision-making powers, approving my proposal should have been effortless for you. Admit it. You're just jealous. You're afraid I'll surpass you, so you deliberately sabotaged me. A cold feeling washed over me. All these years, I had sympathized with her struggles and helped her countless times, both openly and behind the scenes. When she graduated, I helped her find an apartment and a job. Whenever she needed money urgently, I transferred it to her without hesitation. I even hid the fact that I was running my own business from the family, just so Aunt Mary wouldn't pressure her even more. And yet, she felt no gratitude whatsoever. Since you think I'm so heartless, there's no need for us to stay in touch. Solve your own problems, I replied icily. With that, I hung up and blocked her number. When I walked back into the room, Grandma greeted me with a warm smile. You're a good child, Allison. You'll listen to your grandma, won't you? I let out a cold laugh. That depends on what you want me to do. Grandma pulled me down to sit beside her and placed half of a peeled orange into my palm. Until now, she had never willingly given me anything to eat. She always said that girls would eventually marry out, so there was no need to spoil them. I heard everything just now, she said, her voice gentle. You're doing quite well for yourself out there. As Leslie and Ben's elder cousin, don't you have a duty to take care of them? And since you're a leader at your company, that means your word is final. I cut her off. There's nothing to discuss. The decision has been made and it won't change. Her kind facade vanished in an instant. Rules are meant to be broken when life demands it. I said change it, so change it. Call Leslie's boss right now in front of all of us and tell him her proposal is the best. Tell him to fire someone else instead. Aunt Mary immediately chimed in. Don't think you're all that, Allison. These days anyone can be a business partner. All it takes is registering a company. Making money is what truly matters. Leslie is a top-tier white-collar worker making $400,000 a year. You'll need her help one day. Grandma turned to my mom. Why are you just standing there, Jen? Say something to your idiot daughter. My mom stood up, her voice firm. I fully support Allison, no questions asked. If Leslie got laid off, it was because she wasn't competent enough. And even if she was, it was Mary and Ben who ruined things for her. That's their responsibility, not Allison's. Grandma's face twisted into a scowl. You ungrateful girl. You've given birth to a useless money-draining daughter, and you still dare to talk back? Your family has no sons to carry on your legacy. So what if Allison can earn money? She'll marry into another family anyway. When you and your husband grow old, you'll still have to rely on Ben to take care of you. Idiots, Aunt Mary smirked. Whether Ben stays in touch with your family in the future depends entirely on how Allison behaves today. My mom chuckled. With the way you've raised him, I'd be surprised if Ben turns out decent at all. If he manages not to leech off you for the rest of his life, that alone would be a blessing. And you expect him to take care of us in our old age? Keep dreaming. Grandma stomped her foot in fury as she clutched her chest as if she were about to collapse. For a split second, my mom's expression faltered. Fearing she might soften, I grabbed her hand. So, people without sons don't even deserve to visit their own family, huh? In that case, we won't stay where we're not wanted. With that, I ushered my parents out and walked away. Suddenly, a firecracker landed right in front of me. I gasped and stumbled backward in shock. Ben blocked the doorway, pointing at me as he shouted, You worthless girl! If you don't do what my mom says, I'll blow you all up. Aunt Mary cheered. Do it! Let them have it! Encouraged, Ben lit another string of firecrackers. I swiftly kicked the lit firecrackers over the wall. They exploded outside, sending Ben scrambling back into the house, crying in fright. Aunt Mary immediately claimed he had been injured and refused to let us leave. I yanked open the car door and said, Fine, let's go to the hospital. We'll cover all the medical expenses. Her arrogance faltered for a moment. Just then her phone rang. She answered, and when she hung up, she burst into laughter. Oh, Allison, you've really overplayed your little act this time. Do you call yourself a company partner? Leslie just told me everything. You're nothing but an unemployed fraud. You were just too embarrassed to admit it in front of the family, so you begged Leslie to play along with your lie. In reality, she's the real executive. Aunt Stella chimed in. Oh, so that's the truth? No wonder. I was just saying, Allison, who's always been quiet all year round, suddenly turned into some big boss? It never made sense. Turns out it was all an act. Poor Leslie. She even skipped coming home for the holidays just to play along with your little drama. And how does she get repaid? You're bullying her mother and brother. You have no conscience at all. My parents turned to me with worried expressions. Allison, is this true? I shook my head. They exhaled in relief. Aunt Mary scoffed. Oh, come on, Jen, you're so easy to fool. You'll believe anything she tells you. My mom's voice turned cold. I know my daughter. She may keep things to herself, but she would never lie. Aunt Mary let out a mocking laugh. So what you're saying is that Leslie is lying. Get your facts straight. My Leslie earns $400,000 a year and just bought a brand new car. What does your daughter have? Furious, my mom blurted out. Allison bought us an apartment in the city ages ago. She just didn't say anything because she knew you'd start scheming. Aunt Mary burst into laughter. Oh, please, anyone can make up stories. In that case, I own 2 private jets. She sauntered forward, her eyes filled with disdain as she looked us up and down. Leslie has always been top of her class, graduated from a prestigious university, and landed a high-paying corporate job. She's out of your league. I wasn't going to be harsh since we're family, but you've crossed the line. Let me make this clear. If you don't apologize right now, this won't be over. I looked at her and asked, since Leslie is so successful, wouldn't it be reasonable for her to send you $50,000 as a token of gratitude? As I spoke, I transferred the same amount to each of my parents' bank accounts. Aunt Mary's eyes widened in shock. Even Aunt Stella suddenly straightened up, her expression filled with disbelief. She hadn't expected me to have the money. I smiled at Aunt Mary. Let me know when Leslie sends yours. She gritted her teeth and immediately barked into her phone. Leslie, send me $100,000 right now. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, asking for $100,000 right off the bat? Isn't that a bit too much for her? Aunt Mary shot me a glare. My daughter is an executive. A mere $100,000 is nothing to her. 5 minutes passed. I sighed impatiently. Still nothing? Beads of sweat formed on Aunt Mary's temples. The signal must be bad. The transfer's just slow. I transferred another $50,000 to my mother. Seems like the signal is working just fine. Aunt Stella immediately beamed at me. You really are well off, Allison, Aunt Mary scoffed. Ha! Who knows where that money really came from? Leslie is just too kind. She probably lent her bank card to Allison so she could put on this act. Before Aunt Mary could finish her sentence, the sound of a car engine turning off echoed from outside the courtyard. I turned my head just in time to see Leslie stepping out of the vehicle. She was adorned in luxury, exuding an air of wealth and confidence. Aunt Mary instantly regained her composure. Leslie is back! The real boss has arrived! She shot me a triumphant look and sneered. You're done for, Allison! Almost at the same moment, my phone vibrated with a private message from an unknown number. She had sent me a series of photos. Every single one was of me, taken without my knowledge while I was showering or changing clothes. You forced my hand, Allison. I didn't want to do this, but you left me no choice. Now just cooperate and play along. Otherwise, I'll post all these online and make sure you'll never get married. I met her gaze across the room and clenched my fists. Aunt Mary looped her arm through Leslie's and eagerly recounted everything that had happened. Leslie let out an indifferent, oh, and then turned to me. So that's why you suddenly asked to borrow $300,000? Just to show off. Aunt Mary burst into laughter. See? I knew it. Hurry up and transfer Leslie's money back. Leslie flashed me a smile. Now that everyone knows the truth, there's no need to keep pretending, Allison. Being unemployed isn't shameful. Since I've built a successful business and I'm now a business owner, I can offer you a secretarial job at my company after the holidays. You won't go hungry, but since we're dropping the act, just return the $300,000 I left with you. Leslie really knew how to play the game. She held onto her image while squeezing money out of me to pay her debts. I stepped toward the door and glanced into the distance. Sure enough, a suspicious car was parked beneath a tree not too far from the house. It was probably the debt collectors waiting for Leslie to transfer the money. She tilted her head and smiled when I didn't respond. Why are you just standing there, Allison? Transfer the money. She shook the phone in her hand, subtly reminding me of the photos. I let out a quiet, and walked back into the house. Aunt Mary, beaming with pride, pulled Leslie inside and paraded her around, boasting about her success to everyone. 5 minutes later, I stepped into the living room and turned on the TV. Then I activated screen mirroring. Leslie looked at me anxiously. Did you transfer the money, Allison? I didn't reply. Instead, I cast my phone screen onto the television. Every single message between us appeared in plain sight, right on the big screen. Her smile froze on her face. The room fell silent as everyone stared, wide-eyed. Aunt Mary stood motionless, her eyes glued to the screen. The ever-clueless Ben began reading the messages out loud. I have no money left, Allison. Can you lend me $2,000 for rent? If not, I'll get kicked out. Allison, my mom is pressuring me again. Can you buy some groceries for my family under my name? Thank you so much. I really don't have any money. I'll post these photos online and make sure you never get married. Leslie let out a blood-curdling scream and scrambled to open her phone, desperate to send out the photos. I ignored her and swiped across my phone screen. In the next second, the display on the TV shifted, revealing a set of explicit photos. However, I had carefully censored the key areas with pixelation. They were the exact pictures Leslie had sent me, except I had subtly altered the face. Now it was hers. Go ahead and send them. If you dare, so do I. The room was deathly still. The only sound was the sudden blare of Leslie's ringtone, which echoed unnaturally loud in the quiet space. With a thud, she dropped to her knees in front of me. Allison, please, lend me the money. They're waiting outside for me. If I don't pay them back, I'm done for. They have so many of my photos. A wave of shock rippled through the room. Someone gasped. Leslie, did you take out a loan with your explicit photos as collateral? The answer was clear. Aunt Stella muttered under her breath. So all this time, the one putting on an act was Leslie. We had wrongly accused Allison. Aunt Mary suddenly snapped and slapped Leslie across the face. Aunt Mary didn't say a word as she grabbed Leslie's hair and slapped her over and over again. Everyone tried to stop her, but she wouldn't let go. Ben stood on the sidelines, clapping. Good! Keep going! Beat the lying brat to death! Strands of hair scattered to the floor as Leslie's scalp turned red. She barely had time to speak before Aunt Mary struck her across the mouth with the sole of her shoe. Oh, you think you can lie to your own mother? You enjoy humiliating me, don't you? She screamed. I'll beat the shameless filth right out of you. Leslie had been raised to endure, so she didn't fight back. She simply stood there and took it, her jewelry falling piece by piece onto the ground. A few family members stepped in to try to calm Aunt Mary down. It's the holidays, for heaven's sake. Stop! Look at the girl's face. You've already slapped it out of shape. I finally spoke. Half of the money Leslie borrowed went to you. The other half bought that car outside. You still have plenty left in your account. Use it to settle her debts. Let her move on, start fresh, and build a stable life. That's what really matters. Aunt Mary paused for a moment, then struck Leslie even harder. You wish. That money is mine. I don't care if you have to sell yourself or swindle someone. Your mess is yours to clean up. Don't come dragging this family down with you. The family couldn't stand it any longer. Mary, that money belongs to Leslie, they began. She's in trouble. How can you just stand by and watch? She made mistakes, yes, but she can learn from them and earn an honest living. If she can't pay back the debt, who knows what those people outside will do to her? Aunt Mary remained unfazed. That's her fault. She deserves it. If she couldn't hold on to her job, that's her own fault. I'm keeping this money for Ben's education. And that car outside, it stays. It's for Ben's future. In that instant, Leslie's vacant stare sharpened into something fierce. A fire ignited in her eyes, furious, unstoppable. She caught Aunt Mary's wrist mid-swing and twisted it back with brutal force. A sickening crack filled the air. Everyone froze. Before anyone could react, Leslie drove a knife deep into Aunt Mary's flesh. She raised her arm and then plunged again and again. Blood splattered across Aunt Mary's wide, disbelieving eyes. Leslie cried out through clenched teeth and hot tears, her voice raw with years of resentment. That was my money. I was drowning and you refused to help me just so you could save it for Ben. You've never loved me. I saw the security footage. It was you. You ruined my job. And you don't feel even a shred of guilt, yet you dare to hit me. Do you know what I sacrificed for that car? What gives you the right to take it from me, huh? What gives you the right? All my life, if I wasn't perfect, you beat me, starved me, called me worthless. When I started earning, I gave you 90% of my salary. But when I came home, you never even said a kind word to me. I had a fever and no money for medicine, but you spent it on snacks for Ben. You told me my life was cheap. Is that what I am to you? A tool to make money? Answer me, answer me. She stabbed again and again. 20 years of buried agony erupted like a long, dormant volcano, and as its molten fury consumed everything in its path, the air turned thick with deathly silence. Aunt Mary died. Overcome with shock, Grandma suffered a stroke. 10-year-old Ben was so traumatized that, to this day, he cannot form a complete sentence. As the next of kin, Leslie's father signed a letter of understanding to reduce Leslie's prison sentence to 15 years. She'll be 40 when she gets out, he said. Just the right age to take care of me in my old age. And with Ben like this, someone has to look after him. She can't die just yet.